Yo, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to DeFi Down Under Happy Hour. We got, I'm True Blue, this is Dozza right next to me, and 43 down the bottom. What's happening, guys?
What's going on?
Hey, how you going, mate? That intro was epic. That was so cool.
What do you reckon? Pretty cool. Got it.
Yeah,
I reckon you got every dodgy photo of me like just looking like a retard, or maybe that's just the way I am. I don't know.
Hey, there was a few smiles in there. I was trying to get a good photo of everyone, and then made sure we had some others with us. But
oh, bro, you smashed it. That was really cool, man. It's amazing that it was good. This is our 50th week in a row, 50 episodes. Yeah,
50 episodes, pretty cool. So I reckon there was probably 3 or 4 before I joined in. Before that October. So yeah, almost going a year though. It's crazy.
We're definitely not the weak hands then, because we're here after 50 weeks, right?
That's right. We're still here.
Right.
That's exactly right.
Now it's the 50 weeks to shake out the strong hands.
Yeah, some of those won't be shaken, eh? We'll see. Don't shake that, Dozza. The lid's off.
This is the Glen Morangi.
Very nice.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's Friday in most places. So happy Friday, everyone. Friday over here in Australia. And who's in the chat? I'll just say g'day. Red Squirrel's always early, isn't he? Oi, oi.
Oi.
Klaz is there. Hey, Klaz, how you going? You're always smashing in the chat, aren't you? Johnny with the kangaroo. So good.
Yes.
How are you, John? Oh, yep. Clyde says, well done and matching music. Yeah, thought it was pretty cool. I've been watching a bit of Hexologist and his AI stuff lately. So I tried to put a song together, and it's like one of those things, getting it all to work, and the pronunciation of stuff and all that is pretty hard. So it's taken a while to get something, but I'm crap at editing. So that was that bit wasn't too fun either. But anyway,
I was watching Hexo earlier as well.
Yeah.
Yep. I love how he's talking about the MacD and how that's where we've all been working at Mackie D's.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's so good. There's I don't know if you've seen his AI channel. It's called RoboDoc.
I haven't seen it.
Talks about all AI projects and stuff like that. And every now and then he drops in like something about PulseChain or something about Hex, and it's just it's just so random. Like he tries to do it subtly, but it's just like it couldn't be like said like any louder. Everyone would know that he's just trying to do a subtle drop. But yeah, pretty funny.
I had an idea. That I thought would be good related to AI. Some of you guys know that there's an AI out there called Venice AI. Venice.ai. It's it's free to use. I think you're limited on how many things you can ask it, but there's like a token that apparently if you hold that token, you get like a free pro subscription. And what I was thinking would be awesome for because it's on some obscure layer 2, or maybe not obscure, but it's on a layer 2 somewhere, so it's a bit of a pain in the ass. But wouldn't it, like, think about how many Pulse people would be onboarded if they recognized bridged in tokens of that token on PulseChain,
right?
Like that would be a I reckon like we could definitely onboard like pretty much the whole community, and it would also bring stuff over to PulseChain. But who knows? You'd have to have a contact with those people, because you know what it's like in crypto. Everyone's so like in their own project that you don't know whether they would just like laugh at you if you suggested such a thing.
Yeah. So is that Eric Voorhees is behind that as well?
Yes. Because
he's been a little bit vocal on his what he thinks about Hex, but he's certainly an interesting guy.
It would have nothing to do with Hex though. It has to do with the EVM PulseChain, and then bridging a token in from wherever it is, bridging it into PulseChain. But then the team that does that project then recognizing whatever's on the PulseChain as And like it would be a tool for them to onboard, because whereas most people on PulseChain, I think, would not go out of their way to go and get that token. If they could acquire a token on PulseChain just to get the pro membership, then they would probably sign up.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think so. I also think if you can pay in that way, it'd be much better than, a lot of people don't want to dox themselves using credit cards or, linking themselves up in some way with payments. It's a
not
good
even
way
a payment. It's not a payment. You just hold the token.
I just hold the token.
Yeah, you hold. I mean, this is what it says on their website, that you hold that token and then you get that subscription. I'm not telling anyone to go off and buy anything. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be cool if like holding a bridged in version of that token, if that was even possible on PulseChain, that would like help PulseChain because things getting bridged in, but it also helps them onboard new users for their project. So maybe there's a bit of
yeah, it's true.
I like the idea of bridging like all of the PulseChain tokens onto other chains as well. So you just have like wrapped. So I mean, people have to provide liquidity, of course, but that would be interesting. I know like the Tang Gang, I think, had done a bunch of like wrapped HOA or something like that on base, but like there's no real reason why you can't just have wrapped Pulse on, whatever Chronos chain or Tron or whatever. So, actually no, because Tron's not EVM, is it? So, but yeah, whichever one's at EVM, you should be able to just bridge it in and wrap it and provide liquidity over there. I don't know. It just seems like you're putting like you're sending out signals to other chains that when they start to see those tokens go up, they go, what is this wrapped, PLSX or whatever? What is this wrapped hex thing? Why is it going to the moon?
Yeah. Well, yeah, some of them might only be watching their own, their own chain. And as we do on Deck Screen, or sometimes you just have PulseChain selected. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But if you're looking in terms of like performance, 24-hour performance or something like that, assuming that we start like actually getting good performance, then that might be a way of, funneling or filtering people to kind of go, oh, hang on, what is this thing? And why is it wrapped? Oh, because it's come from PulseChain.
Yeah,
it's been bridged in. But I guess that would require like some, I mean, the bridges, there is already some bridges to a lot of different networks. PortalX might be able to do some of that stuff.
I reckon they should. That'd be cool. Hey, I know 43 wasn't telling anyone to go out and buy anything, but could some kind of benevolent wallet or whale just come and buy some Pulse, please? Like, I don't know, a few 100 million worth. That chart's just going sideways, isn't it? And a little bit down.
Yeah, look, it's a bit sad, isn't it? Because it's like, oh, we bottomed, and then hang on, it's just breaking down below the 20 MA again. It's like, but it hasn't really gone down much below that sort of bottom call of 40369. So
that's right.
I kind of feel like it's in like a range. I'm hoping anyway. I think if we close the week, so the weeklies has been respecting that weekly close. And I think maybe the daily close, like the all-time low,
exactly.
it has actually been it hasn't actually closed below. It's right on it, basically.
Yes, it's sitting right there, isn't it?
So we're not
shouting out the 369. When was it? Yesterday? Before?
Well, we talked about it the other day. We thought that was like an auspicious number, and that it might, maybe be the bottom. But I think it has wicks down below it, but hasn't closed the day below it. So we're not up shit creek without a paddle just yet.
I also think it's the prices are where they are. They're so low that it's not going to, like, there's no weak hands to be shaken out. Like, no one at this point is going to sell at these prices. Now you need higher prices to shake out the weak hands. You don't need lower prices anymore to shake out. You need higher prices to shake out because once you get like pumps, weak hands will be like, oh shit, like this might be the only pump. And then that's when they
sack
sell.
Price. Yeah, when it goes back to sack price, I reckon there'll be a lot of weak hands. So it might have to go up to sack price, and then they'll just go, my bags.
We need green candles to shake out the weak hands now. The red candles, I think, anyone who's still in after all of this,
Yeah,
man, their
like,
hands are too strong. You need green candles to shake them out at this point.
That's a good
That's
point.
just my 2 cents.
I think you're right. I think people sort of think, oh, well, why would I sell something that's 99% down? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah.
So
the people who are still here, I think, are of that mindset. Yes.
But I mean, all crypto all altcoins has pretty much been getting hammered. Let's not shoot ourselves. If you were like a Matic, Maxi, or whatever, like Gala or some sort of random thing that you decided that GameFi was the go, your back's pretty wrecked as well. Cardanzo or whatever, like none of these guys are doing very well.
Yeah, a lot of the old wrecked. That's for sure.
It's been a Bitcoin cycle for sure, and Sol, I guess. Even Ethereum has really underperformed. So, but yeah,
is it not always a Bitcoin cycle at the beginning? Like, isn't the Bitcoin usually what like kicks it off?
It rallies first, yeah. So I've sort of been looking into this a little bit, and it's interesting because we always talk about like the halving being this point where obviously like the rewards to the miners, get halved, and so the price has to go up to compensate the miners. Otherwise, you get like miner capitulation and things like that. But it also is interesting about these liquidity cycles, about how whether it's the U.S. presidential election or what it is, but it kind of seems like that you have this closed system, and there's only an injection of liquidity into the system that then people can lend out to other people with interest, and then that creates more money supply, and then people use like leverage and stuff like that to sort of maximize that capital, and then you get this sort of bubble that takes off, and then the Fed has to crank up the interest rates to kind of make money more expensive to borrow and things like that, and then you have this contraction, I guess, where if they don't cut the rate, if they keep hiking them for too long, or they don't cut them at some point, you get like the hard landing and you get the recession. So they have to, like the US Fed or whatever, they've got that dual mandate to keep the unemployment levels down and the inflation down. So their tools at their disposal are kind of, increasing the monetary supply, like printing, or cranking up the interest rates. And so they have to balance that. So then you kind of have these liquidity cycles. And Somi talks about it a lot. So a lot of the stuff I've seen from Somi, shout out to him. And then there's a lot of other people that talk about these liquidity cycles. But it does seem like we're at the sort of precipice now, in like from a macro point of view, that the interest rates have been too high for too long, and it's like almost 100% that they're going to cut rates at the 18th of September in the US, and then so there might be a dip, but it depends on how much the US sort of starts injecting liquidity into this system to prevent that sort of that hard fall, that hard recession, I guess. So, and once all that liquidity is in the system, then it sort of flows into the more risk-on assets, stocks and crypto and things like that. So it then, like, so what I was a long-winded way of answering your question, but we see Bitcoin sort of go for most of the, be the first one to go, but then towards the end of that sort of liquidity cycle, or whether you think it's the Bitcoin cycle, but based on the halving, that's when you see the more risk-on stuff, they start to bubble, and then that price just gets too unrealistic, and then people obviously sell it all, and it starts all over again.
Yeah, no, definitely. What do you think about this whole maybe lockdown thing going on, and how that's going to affect things? This monkeypox.
I saw a funny meme. It had like the Rona, and the guy had a face mask, and then it had the monkeypox, and he had the mask on his butt cheeks, and I was like, what? So I don't know how it's transmitted, but based on that meme,
this reminds me of a Dave Chappelle bit about the dude banging a monkey. Have you heard that bit before?
Yeah. It's like, this is how you get AIDS, people. Far out. People just got to stop having sex with animals.
Yeah, that's right. This is a good one here that I saw about that. That's what monkeypox looks like under a microscope. Just wads of cash.
That's gold. Yeah, look, I'm a little bit suspicious. Let's just say I'm skeptical on most things, and I think that's fair. And we are going to a US presidential election, so I have noticed that in the past, like historically, fear has been a good tool to use on the populace to kind of maintain the existing government that's in power. So
exactly,
it's also a good way of forcing people, making people do mail-in ballots rather than going out to vote.
That's right. Yeah. That's my worry.
Yeah. Although I'm still unclear as to how it's transmitted, like based on that meme, because I just don't watch the news or whatever. Like, so
how is it transmitted? Like, do we know?
Is it through?
Let's ask someone that's just rocked up. This guy would know. Jaxa, how's monkeypox transmitted, Jaxa? You know?
Give me a second.
Sorry,
Jaxa.
Thought I'd throw you in the deep end.
Look, I don't know, but I'm not terribly worried about it just yet. So, I think there's so many things going on at the moment that are super bullish for crypto, and we haven't seen a lot of, you know how like in a bear market, when you get really good news and then the price doesn't really change, and then I guess that's the postulate that maybe we don't just have these traditional bull markets and bear markets, that maybe you just have sectors or pockets of the crypto market that kind of bubble at different times, and that maybe we're still waiting for a big liquidity injection, or maybe there's a little bit of lag from the liquidity that's like global liquidity that's gone in to see that sort of go up.
Well, when was that date? Yeah, go on. Well, you can hear me okay now?
Yeah, mate.
Cool. When was that date that the Fed was going to start?
I think it's the 18th of September.
18th, yeah. Obviously, you won't see that come through straight away when it happens, but I think the market will read into it a little bit, so that's always good.
Yeah, so
assuming, like you say, monkeypox doesn't come down and smash us all.
Well, that's just a good reason for them to do more QE, right? Like to put more money, do more treasury.
Got a list as long as my arm of all the reasons they can do it now.
Definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, you were talking about that last week. They've got some good reasons. I think you're right. They're basically just looking for things to go, oh, well, now we need to print money. Just so happens that there's an election coming around. But I did see, so this was interesting. This was on average, they were saying that stocks fell 21% after the first Fed rate cut since the 70s. So they had just done an average. I mean, there's not a lot of data points there, like, because it was once you did a whole bunch of rate hikes and then it was the first cut. I don't know if you can see that. But then on average, it was like a minus roughly 20.5%. But that was taken up to 9 months later. But yeah, I also saw another thing, which was, I think it was a zero hedge thing. I'll see if I can pull that up.
It would be interesting to see what the debt levels were like back then.
Yeah, so this one I thought was better because this one sort of told you that this was the hard landing or the soft landing, and they were saying the context of whether there was the first cut preceded an oil shock, or whether the first cut at stagflation was raging in the 70s or whatever, and then they sort of showed you how much the yield, the 10-year yield, and then the S&P. But what I noticed here was you can actually get like a positive increase in the stock market. It basically boils down to them having to print more. Like it's just how quickly they can, once they cut, they then need to inject a lot of liquidity to the market to stop that hard landing. And they're getting pretty good at it now. So it seems like they're, yeah, they're balancing that.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say they're getting pretty good at it, but
Well, they've done it so many times, I guess. Yeah. The problem is that there's a lot of lag. There's a lot of inertia, right? Like, so there's a lot of economic inertia in the system where there's like,
it's the inflation that comes through and affects the average person. That is the real downside to all of this. I mean, it's great. It's great. Like we can sit here and talk about how great it is that they can manage it, but the question is, should they be doing this at all? Is this the way the financial? No, but like maybe they feel they don't have a choice, but like, should our whole financial system be based on?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
This, No.
Or
should we just be dealing with the problems as they happen? If someone goes out of business, or rather than governments coming in to bail them out and go into debt, and the taxpayer, fix the problem, maybe we have to live and die by the sword. Sort of like what people in crypto have to do as well. We have to do that. We live and die by the sword.
I don't think there's an incentive for them to stop doing it, because it's
the opposite. They're incentivized.
That's right. They're incentivized to keep spending, to rack up more government debt.
Yes, but hang on. Can I just come back to that? I agree with you, Jexa. They have been incentivized to do that. The question that we have to ask is whether that incentive is going to continue to exist as they keep printing money and inflation continues to run rampant, because it gets to a point where it's so bad that printing the money, it's not fixing any problem. It's spiraling out of control. And if you look at grocery bills over the last 5 years, that now you're paying double what you were paying a few years ago. Like double. It is double.
Yeah. I would say in my lifetime, this is the first time that you've really felt that. Obviously, I was for a portion of my life, I wasn't earning money for the first bloody 14 years of my life, so you wouldn't notice it so much. But particularly as you've been an adult, this is the first time I've noticed this. And it's not just me or us because we're in tune with it. You speak to anyone, and that's one of the first topics of conversation, is how shit it is at the moment, how much everything is, and the sticker shock.
The CPI is based on the market basket that they choose as well, and that can be manipulated. So the CPI numbers are rigged anyway.
Yeah. So you could look at house prices as well. Prices of the things that are the people's biggest expenses. So you look at what people's biggest expenses are, it is housing. It's like, especially for people who are younger than 60, like maybe people who are past 60, who aren't renting and have their own property, maybe it's less for them, but people who are younger, it is the biggest. Like, I've noticed rents in the last 2 years.
Interest rates, right? So because the Commonwealth Bank just did something like $9.8 billion profit for this financial year, and that was down from 10.2 billion. But it's like, that's because we're paying so much in interest, and that's really because it's the RBA that's setting it. So I think the system is flawed.
It's also because they rent, but it's also because they lend out so much money, and you've got two people, neither of whom have the money to buy a property, who are both bidding against each other with fake money that doesn't exist. So since you've got this weird situation where it's just, if people had to just bid with money that they had, then and there wasn't, then they wouldn't have, like, prices of things would not be so high. I mean, it's only because they're bidding with fake money that doesn't exist, and they print it out of nothing.
Yeah, so
it's win-win for them.
Debt. So because when they print, and then that money gets loaned out with a fractional reserve thing, so then there's an extra sort of 9x of the money that gets injected. So, but there's not enough money out there to pay off all that interest. So, you're always just creating debt when you create money. So the inflation-based sort of model that we've got is inherently flawed, and then you eventually get this musical chairs scenario where there's not enough liquidity to pay back all these loans and things. So there's sectors that miss out. But then, so this goes back to what Jexa was saying, is that only the low socioeconomic people, the poor people, are the ones that get stitched the most, because the, you know, it's the golden rule, like whoever has the gold makes the rules. Those guys have got so much money, they're making so much money through all the interest and all that sort of stuff, then they're financially incentivized to keep that flawed system intact.
So if you hold asset, you are killing the pig. So, but if you can't afford to get the asset, you bear the brunt.
You're screwed.
And what's the problem with having high costs of living, just basic costs of living? What's the problem with that? And to answer my own question, the problem is that young people don't want to have too many kids. They don't want to have families. And that's a problem for a country that wants to continue to exist. Because you need people having at least 2 to 3 kids, right? You need 2 to 3 kids.
You need at least 2 to replace the parents. So
you need more. You need more than that. So 2 to 3 kids at minimum. But if people can't even get themselves into a property and have that sense of security, they don't have that sense of security renting. They can't get into a property. How are they going to feel like they can go and have 2 or 3 kids when groceries are going up, like doubling in 3 or 4, 5 years? So this is a real problem for the world, but it's a problem for us as a country. Luckily, we don't have a huge population, but I'm very much of the opinion that we should continue to grow as a country, but we should do it with our people. We should try and encourage people here to do it, you know?
To have more kids. I agree, because otherwise they rely on immigration as well, because that's the only way they can prop up the economy is basically just by immigrating. Because if the population increases, like, you know, whatever it is, 1.7 kids and per family or whatever, then it's always going to be decreasing. And then there's people that are just single, right? So you need more than that.
And I've never understood why governments don't get onto this. Just get on and start saying to people, guys, go out and screw and have like families, and like they that should be the number one thing that they want people to do. But also have policies that try and. They used to say it. I remember Peter Costello used to say, have one for mum, one for dad, and one for the country.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and that's what they need, because you need people to pay, more people to pay taxes, because basically the social security or the pension and all that sort of thing, it's a Ponzi. We need more people to come in to pay taxes so that they can pay the existing people so they can exit the Ponzi.
It's a complicated system, isn't it? Like there's so many moving dials. I think we haven't got it right. We definitely haven't got it right how we manage it all.
It's a flawed system. It's definitely flawed. It's you can see that it's flawed, and you can see that it relies on population increase, or immigration. It relies on there was a bunch of things I was going to say about that. Too many scotches. But you can see that the way that it's sort of structured is that there's going to be pockets that are going to be suffering, and it's normally the poor people that suffer the most, unfortunately.
Yeah, it seems like either way, it's sort of slowly headed down and to the right, isn't it? But it's it has its good moments and that, and they try and get a hold of it, but just doesn't seem like it can keep going that way for too many more years.
I guess that's what I was.
We have to stay positive as well, guys. We have to stay positive. I'm positive. In general. Yeah, me too. But I think it's important for us to be like, there's good future ahead for everyone.
Oh yeah. Sorry, no. I don't mean to be negative.
No, I wasn't. I'm not directing it. I'm not actually directing anything at anyone. I'm just saying in general, because there's a lot of negativity out there with everything, and I think that if governments can do anything, they should be like more positive. All I see in governments is they're just pieces of shit, negative people, right? And I'd love to kick them all in the teeth.
How's that stuff in the UK, man? People are getting bloody locked up for shit posting on Twitter or whatever, social media.
Yeah, that's
and then
crazy.
Rowan Atkinson came out and was like, he gave a pretty eloquent speech, I thought.
I haven't seen that one.
Metaphoric kick in the teeth. I should add in metaphoric, not literal.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to say quick.
We're at that stage now where you've got to censor everything and monitor what you're saying now, aren't we?
Yeah,
you need to line every sentence with a caveat.
It's bullshit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It's scary stuff. Yeah. Hey, we got
And
Base
you-
Radiant in the chat. Thanks for coming on last
Yeah.
week. It was awesome
Yeah,
to have
it
you
was
on.
good.
And I listened to the
Yeah.
rest of that one. It was great. So he's got some
So
good
you-
insight. Yeah.
You go for a quick holiday with the family to the UK, and you may not be coming home.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's
well,
right.
that's
I have a
not
family
gonna
member going to
happen.
France. I have a family member going to France, and I was just like, are you sure about that?
Well,
That's
yeah,
great.
but that social media thing, that's a bit of a dangerous precedent in the UK. Yeah, because it's really censoring free speech, isn't it? It's sort of
Well, what's actually worse on that one is the overreach to jurisdictions where they don't have control or they don't have jurisdiction, and literally to the point where they are actually. So the US has got a lot going on with the elections and things like that, but you've got outside influences from the UK having a go at Elon Musk and trying to get his platform taken down or heavily censored. So effectively, they're interfering in an election in the US by virtue of
Absolutely
doing
Yeah.
that. So slippery slope.
And this is why I think this is ultimately why we all love blockchain. Good blockchains that are censorship resistant, because ultimately, if you've got a blockchain that's censorship resistant, then you have the ability to have speech that can't be censored.
yeah, and that's getting pretty rare in this day and age. Yeah,
Definitely. I do, even though there's stuff that, you see on Twitter that you might not agree with, I do like the general idea that, it is relatively free speech, and you can put almost anything on there. And obviously if it's too inappropriate, it'll get flagged. But if it's just, different opinions or something, it flies. So yeah, it's really good like that.
Would you rather
and stuff, it's no, you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would you rather live in a world where all your information flow is so heavily restricted and redacted that you can't actually make an informed choice and you need to be protected? Or would you rather live in a place where, you're going to have to put up with some shit, you're going to hear things that you don't like to hear and things you don't agree with, but hey, at least you can run it through your own filter and make your moral choices based on that, and at least go in with a full, your eyes wide open. Which
people need.
I think it was
as well.
I think it was Benjamin Franklin who said something along the lines of, if you would trade your freedom for safety, then you deserve neither freedom nor safety.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean, I just sort of think people need to harden the F up a little bit as well. Like there's a lot of people just getting offended by all sorts of stuff. I mean, you can choose to like switch stuff off as well, right? Like, it's like if a comedian you don't like is saying something that you don't like, don't go to his show. Like, don't go in the crowd and like pay for money to go and then heckle him. Just don't watch it. Like,
there's a block button for a reason.
Yeah, you can mute people, you can block people, you can turn the thing off, and you don't have to let it affect you. It's your choice.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, there's even a mute button. You can either even just type in words that you want muted as well. So I think that's pretty good. If there's a certain subject you're sensitive with, or anything like that, you can just make it so you don't see it. But I think it also, I think it really shows, exactly what's going on, even though you might not like it. Like you're saying, Jaxa, you still, you still need to have the right perspective and understand what's going on in the world a little bit. And if you're just watching certain news, or certain media channels and things like that, you're just not going to know anything that's legit, anything that's actually happening around you. So sorry, does it?
I rarely use the block button on Twitter, and that's so it means I've got to put up with a bit of shit. But I'd rather see it all, and I think everyone's got a right to.
You can mute people,
I
sometimes people are just annoying.
That's right. If it is something that is just like it's actually taking my time for no good reason, then I'll pull out a mute. But for the most part, I want people to be able to have their.
When you're like reading through and you see a post and you're like, this motherfucker again. It's like at that point you can mute them. You know,
Like if, you actually,
that-
if you're taking up my
This
time with useless shit, then yeah.
I've seen a little bit of that lately, but anyway.
Yeah.
I was just going to say this Stephen Pav in the chat. Thanks for coming, and I like your RX-7 there. Anyone that has cars in their photos, I'll make sure I comment on them. I like the old Japanese cars. So,
RX-7.
Clintrons is here. Did I already say hi to Clintrons?
Blast
Not
from
yet.
the past, right there.
Definitely, yeah. And Jerry, happy Friday to you, mate. You're always in here in the chat. Thanks for coming in.
So,
And yeah, Hexadelic having the beers.
hey,
Later,
here he is.
and Fast Abdul, took me a little while to get the name out of there. He's changed it.
Oh, jitsu.
All is lost, panic. And then he goes, okay, don't panic. No, thanks for coming on.
I was doing some martial arts last night. Just getting hammered.
Oh no, no more bruises or what?
Oh yeah, no, it was just like we had this other sensei come in. He was like a black belt sensei from another dojo, and then there was like this rivalry between like my sensei and him, and then so it was pretty cool. But we had to do things where we're like, it's like friendly sort of thing. Like it's not like Cobra Kai or anything like that, but it was like that I think he was just trying to show us off to this other guy who'd come in, and then we had the full mouth guards and gloves in there, and we were in these really bad positions like in turtle, like hooks in and things like that, and then just strikes. So like north south with strikes and rear naked choke with strikes, and he just cop it. So I got battered quite a few times last night and on Tuesday. So
don't say if you're not comfortable. Where do you train out of?
I probably wouldn't say the name, but I probably shouldn't say.
Yeah,
but,
that's fair.
It's just an MMA.
Yeah. One of the bigger ones, or
probably not one of the bigger ones. No, but it's good fun.
Yeah,
lots of good fun. It's just no point doxing it for no reason. I can tell you after.
Yeah, you end up with all your fans there, mate, coming for a watch.
Oh, my enemies maybe.
Come on there, jump on the mat with him. That Dozza thinks he's so tough.
Well, that's it. It's probably not a good idea to rock up to a gym though, like a martial arts gym, because Anyway.
I've seen that a couple of times. I've seen that a couple of times, like in real life, someone rolling up to a gym and talking smack and getting smacked. Like it's
it never ends well, surely.
It's the talk of the gym for the next like 6 months, and then it becomes like legend, in the gym. Just like, you remember that time that guy came in? We used to get like in my gym. We used to get like black belt judo guys coming in to fuck up the jiu-jitsu guys.
Yeah.
They used to come in and roll like a black belt. I remember just watching this.
They
black
pretend
belt
they're white
and
belts.
Nothing against. No, he came in. Actually, I think he might have been a brown belt. But he was rolling with like a white belt and fucking him up. Fucking up the white belt. He's what do you expect? He's a brown belt in judo. He's still going to know how to do shit, right? He's going to know how to do arm bars and all sorts of other crazy shit. And I remember just seeing one of I think it was a blue belt, a purple belt, just like tapped the white belt on the shoulder and just like threw him off, and just like, okay, motherfucker, now we go. And just watching the brown belt just get fucked up. Like bad, really bad. And then he went to the front office and complained about it. It's like, you motherfucker, you're just fucking up our guys in white belt, like our white belt guys. You're a brown belt in judo. A guy fucks you up and now you're complaining? Jeez.
Into dojo beef.
Fun to watch.
Good stuff.
So I was going to quickly ask, what's the go with this the US Court of Appeals reboots Hex manipulation case against Binance? So, True Blue, do you know what's going on with this? Like, was this the Johnny Chaos case like ages back where?
Yeah. I'll put this up. I think you had something, didn't you? But I'll put this up quickly. So I know Johnny Chaos sort of initiated it, but then he handed it over to someone else. I don't know who that is, possibly RH or I'm not sure, but he definitely initiated the filing for it. And yeah, so basically they've reversed the dismissal because as a lot of people know, they were CoinMarketCap was sort of restricting Hex's ranking on there, putting it right down the bottom. What was it, 201 or something?
201, yeah.
So sitting down
Although
there,
it's lower now, so maybe we should have kept it at 201.
It's plummeted now, so they could put us back up. But this will shed some hopefully positive light on Hex, and if it's if we can get, or if this case can go through or can be used together with what's currently going on with Hex, we'll see what happens, but it could be a positive for the future at least. Hopefully that they won't be able to manipulate it anymore or hold it down. But yeah, Jack said 43. Do you know much more about this one?
I know that it's probably gotten more attention from crypto press than it did in the first place. Like it wasn't even on their radar when it was actually important. Like well,
I think that's probably part of it, isn't it? A lot of it was just being squashed because people didn't want Hex getting out there. And people that were getting paid to talk about crypto, a lot of the time they were told not to talk about Hex, so it couldn't actually break through it.
Well, I think it
wasn't that,
and I don't know whether it was. So obviously, CoinMarketCap had been around for a while before it was acquired by Binance.
Yes,
I don't know whether this shenanigans was going on prior to that. I'm assuming they had some sort of filters and things they needed to checks and balances they put in place. So I think most people didn't even realize how manipulated the coin ranking side of things was. And it wasn't until a vocal community came out and actually started making noise about it. And even still then, I think
they couldn't serve him the notice. Like that was the problem. Yeah. I remember that. So now that he's in jail, do you think that is why this is being this is coming back? Because now he can't hide. Like they know where he is. They can serve him.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
The US have got it. They've got it in for Binance and for CZ. So obviously, they put him in jail. And so I think
he made a deal. I think he made a good deal.
But he's still in jail, right? CZ.
But it's only like 4 months. I mean, when I say only 4 months, it's probably in very, very good conditions.
Yeah, he's getting out on the 29th of September, but then he's actually signed an agreement to not deal with anything to do with Binance and crypto for 30 months after coming out.
Oh wow!
Obviously, they can't prove that. He could just
Binance US though.
Yeah, exactly. There's going to be. It seems like he knew how to pull the strings before all this, didn't he?
Yeah. There was more. There was more to that than what meets the eye, and the fact that they just magically dropped the case as soon as.
Didn't he hand over a lot of the assets?
Yeah, I don't know the specifics around it. I know that he had a lot of the BUSD. I think it was what it was called.
USD, the stablecoin,
which was issued by Paxos, and then obviously they came down hard on Paxos and CZ. As soon as CZ was out of the picture, Paxos partnered up with PayPal to issue their whatever that is, PUSD or whatever they've got on there. So there was definitely some underhanded shit that went on in that regard. And what was worse is that's when they dropped the case pretty much as soon as it came to court the other day, which makes it even more sinister, I think, is they got him out of the picture and then freed up the Paxos and whoever to keep operating.
Oh, wow. And do you think that this is just them trying to stack onto Binance US again? So because it was pretty obvious that they were manipulating the market.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if that's related or not, because I think they're probably done out of different jurisdictions and things like that, I would imagine. So I don't know how well they communicate with stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just odd timing, it seems, to come out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great because, how can the market cap be static at 201 at that position when the price is fluctuating and the market cap is just a function of price times circulating supply? So it didn't make any sense that it could be a static number.
But why did it need to get to this stage? So we've got everyone in crypto is so quick to call out everyone for bad behavior. Yet you've got this site which is clearly manipulating data, not just for Hex, but for other tokens. And all of the voices that could have said something didn't say a damn thing.
Exactly.
So it shouldn't have even got to that.
They're on the take.
Everyone's on their high horse, and they're quick to call people out, but not when it really mattered.
Yeah, that's right.
Human nature is human nature, man. Human nature is human nature. Politicians do the same thing. They're only backing who's filling their pockets. And when I say their pockets, I don't mean personally. I mean just their campaign funds or whatever. They are gonna do
lobbyists or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just like the bull run, there's only a certain amount of time to work with as well, I guess. So, they're trying to make the most of it as influencers or anyone that's reporting on the stuff. Base Radian says a interesting one there, that there was a piece HTML in the CoinMarketCap website that would re-rank it, and you could actually see it upon inspecting in the browser.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, like obviously they had a way of manipulating it. If it was that obvious,
That's crazy, because every now and then that it would actually show the true market cap. I thought that was funny. Like it would just you'd be like, "Hey, we're number 9."
Hexagons around the world rejoiced when that happened
for at least 5 minutes.
It was usually it was like a 5 minutes of rejoicing.
But that's actually
sort of
that's what's getting
like when we get a green candle these days.
That's right, but that's what's getting used against them at this point, so that their own data is actually getting used as evidence against them. So when it was clear that they were manipulating it and pushing it down, you get that, like you say, you get that odd day where it would spike up. So I think there's obviously screen caps and all that from
definitely.
All of that taking place.
Yeah, they've got receipts, I think. While we're on that sort of bullish talk about, these things maybe being lifted off Hex's back. There's also word about that case in South Carolina with the Wiener boy, that possibly they might have been, working out of their precedent, because the lawyers went along with the, kept proceeding with the court case, even though RH wasn't actually served. And the lawyer apparently only looked for RH in the US. So I don't know if they're going to have to start over again on that or what, but who was going out there to represent Hex? I think it was like Ben Dubard or someone like that. They were going out to this case to sort of front up for it.
That was the Wiener guy?
Yeah, the Wiener one, yeah.
Yeah. I think that was Ben going to represent. So I don't know what's happening with that.
Yeah, well, apparently they shouldn't have proceeded with it because they didn't actually serve RH. So
awesome. Oh,
we could be getting a lift on all this. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Hey, Fast Abdul's wondering what your weight class is, Dozza. Can you dox that?
I just told him, I said, unfortunately, heavyweight at the moment, but I like to get back to light heavy. Gotta stop drinking beers.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing because I'm in the same. I'm super heavyweight division.
Super heavyweight.
You were going for a bit of a kick there for a while, 43, weren't you? On a bit of a healthy spin. Are you getting far with that?
I sort of stagnated
a while ago. Yeah,
I stagnated. So I was like just trying to get some kgs down, but I've sort of just I haven't put it back on, but I've just sort of plateaued, and I'm hoping now working into the warmer months, I'm going to be able to get on the road and do a bit more running.
Yeah, that'll be good.
I think that's what I'm hoping, mate.
It's definitely hard in the winter. It's hard to get the motivation. That is for sure. And fitting it around a schedule. I know, like you said, with the kids and stuff, it's like
The only
have that
the only
time
time is
to get
5. It's like 5 in the morning, man.
Yeah.
That's the only time, 5 in the morning.
is.
And
is.
in winter, 5 in the morning is in Melbourne at least is really cold, man.
Brutal.
It's like 2 degrees, 3 degrees.
Yeah, good stuff. Loving it.
Freeze your balls
Yeah.
off.
Yeah, we don't want that. Hey, Jack, so you've been doing some work, not only creating images on Venice AI, as I see, but also
they're going to remain private, those ones.
I thought we were showing those images.
we're having a Venice AI off in a chat, but you've been doing some stuff on testnet with Vouch, is it? Can you let some people know about that?
Sure can. Actually, I can bring up a little UI if you want. You can have a little look at it.
That'll be sweet.
Yeah.
Do that. All right. So give me 1 second. I think my sharing's working.
Just before you do that, Jexa, I'm going to head off. I'm going to salute you all, say thank you to everyone in the chat, and I'll be listening because I'm very interested in what you're talking about here, Jexa.
Sounds good.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming on, as always.
Later, guys.
Good.
I'll see you next time.
Good to chat to you, 43. Have a good weekend, mate.
You too.
Let's see.
Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Share screen. Yeah. Okay. Give me a sec, guys. Haven't used screen sharing on this for a while, so
No worries.
figure out what it's doing.
Cool.
We can see what's going on in the chat. What's up to Nick Eddy? How you going? I'll have to check with him to see when that Street Buddhas fight is on next.
Cool.
But, I think Addison is actually.
Sorry, mate. You should have a screen there. Is that going to?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we both hit it at the same time. There we go.
Yeah. So Voucher's protocol I've been working on for a little while now with another team based out of Singapore. So it's a friendly fork of existing protocols.
Right.
It's a liquid staking derivative platform. So I think like Lido, Rocket Pool, those sorts of things. Effectively, what it means is people that aren't validators can actually get a way to participate in the yield that the actual underlying blockchain produces. Yes. So normally you have to have all the tech skill to be able to fire up your validator, plus have the stake required, so which is in PulseChain's instance, 32 million Pulse.
Yep.
And if you got those two pieces of the puzzle, you can actually benefit from the yield on the chain. So what liquid staking does is it takes both sides of the equation. It takes the people that have got the tech skill and marries them up with people that have got Pulse sitting in their wallet, and you bring those people together in, we'll call it a marketplace. So you bring them together, and combined they join their resources, and they both get to benefit from it. So the way it looks is, you can see here, call it staking. Obviously, it's liquid staking, but it's not staking in the sense where you like Hex, where you lock it up and you can't access the liquidity of your staked capital. Yeah. So that's the whole pretense around liquid staking. So if you chuck in, say, what do we got here, 10,000 Pulse, it will actually mint out for you, in this instance, 9.8 thousand VPulse. And the reason why it's not 1-for-1, so when the system initially started up, the ratio of Pulse to VPulse was 1-to-1. But over time, in the background, what's happening is the validators that are doing their work on the other side of the equation are bringing in more rewards and dumping it into the Pulse pool, such that if you're holding your VPulse, so think of it like an IOU or a voucher against some Pulse. Right. So you put in 10,000 to begin with, and you get 9.8K VPulse. Yep. And then on the way out, when you unstake, if you put in that same 9,800 Pulse and you've left it, like obviously if you do it straight away, it's going to just spit out exactly what you put in. But if you came back in, say, 6 months' time, all that extra Pulse that's accrued in the system, you've got a right to a share of it. So when you cash out your VPulse, you actually get more Pulse than what you initially put in.
So is that how you get? Is that the yield then? That the yield is paid out in that way? Is that right?
Yeah. So basically, you're getting the yield block by block. So the value of your VPulse token is going up relative to Pulse all the time. Can't go backwards. That's just the way the way it works. Now, the beauty of it is so if you come in here and you mint your VPulse, or you stake it, you stake your Pulse, which is minting you VPulse, you end up with the actual VPulse in your wallet. So that's the liquid component. So that's the same. You've got access to the value of all your Pulse you put in, essentially.
Yep.
So what that then means is you can take that VPulse and use that throughout the rest of the ecosystem. So that could be, imagine if there was a pool where it was Pulse and VPulse on, say, Fast Abdul's in here on 2 bucks or something like that.
Yeah. Awesome.
So you'd have essentially a pool which you wouldn't be subject to impermanent loss, because the values are going to move up together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yield on yield, as they say.
Yeah.
Fast Abdul's been going on about that. So that's very good.
Yield on yield. So this is the user side of it, where you're basically just staking or unstaking, and that's as hard as it gets from a user point of view. But on the back end side, this is where all the validators come to. Anyone can visit this page. So if you're a user, you can visit this page and see this information. But from a validator point of view, in this instance, you can see this particular wallet is responsible for running 2 validators here.
Yep.
So what they're actually doing is they're getting their share of the yield from running a validator. So they've obviously stumped up, in this case, 24 million Pulse. So the validators still need to bring a share of the stake, and it's matched with user funds, and that enables them to fire up a validator. So for running a validator, they get their share of the rewards in terms of any yield that their 12 million would have produced. Plus they get a fee for being the node operator as well. So that just comes out of the total reward pool. They get a % of that fee. So they're encouraged to come and support that.
Yep.
So what's pretty much pushed this out into the wild. This is all on testnet, obviously, at the moment, not mainnet.
Yeah, that's awesome. They can play with it on testnet.
Yeah. So this is all testnet tokens. So don't get too hung up on when you see prices and things like that. They're not spot on at the moment. It's just all play money.
Yep.
Yeah. And that's probably an important point. There's no oracle there's no like liquidation type risk or anything like this. This is just really just a value so you know what sort of dollars you're dealing with there. There's no liquidation type events.
Okay.
But yeah, so since I pushed it out yesterday, I've got to fire up a few more validators, because there's a big chunk sitting in the pool at the moment. So people are playing with it.
Awesome.
This morning that was like 4 million or something like that. So everyone's obviously chucking some funds in and messing around with it a little bit. So we'll get some more validators fired up and get the yield cranking for everyone.
That's cool. So would this be, when you're saying about firing up a new validator, is that doing it through this front end? Like you're putting the Pulse up on here, or is it? So way of doing it.
Yeah. So in the background, it uses a lot of the same staking contracts that the native PulseChain validators will use, but it tweaks the values a little bit, such that if someone comes in here, so a new validator can basically just set up, they can start the process of being a solo validator. So a solo validator needs to chuck in 12 million Pulse, and then that will get matched with Pulse that are sitting here available in this pool.
Awesome. I really like that. Good stuff.
So when it gets brought together, then they can finish the staking of the validator, and then it becomes your validator basically becomes goes to an active state.
Right.
Cool. I love it.
Awesome,
that's going to really open up for more people to join in and delegate and stuff like that, because you can get turned away or turned off pretty easily by being too technical. Or I know David Feeder does it on the cloud as well, doesn't he? Yep. Like cloud service. Yep.
Yeah. So there's not. He does a good job. He provides a full white glove service for running validators. And you've got to be. I think that's only suitable if you're at a certain level. So there's obviously a lot of costs from, say, infrastructure costs, where you're hosting in a data center, that sort of stuff. and that is a cost that you have to bear. So you need to be running enough validators to offset that cost and make it worthwhile.
For sure.
So for someone that's sitting there and they've got a smaller balance of Pulse, they can't afford to participate in the network's yield because they have to have enough volume to make it worthwhile to run a validator.
Yeah.
So this is a way where anyone can basically chuck in. Look, you can chuck in as little as what you want, and you are effectively getting the yield from the network.
That's cool.
That's awesome. And particularly when 32 million Pulse starts to become a large sort of barrier to entry as the price goes up in the future, it means that smaller players can actually still participate in the yield.
Yep.
By having a fraction of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a very long-winded explanation. But if you go to the Telegram group, which I'll put in the chat in a minute, there's 2 videos in there. You can find them on my YouTube channel as well. One of them explains what liquid staking is in reference to PulseChain, and the other one explains pretty much what I've gone through there, but both sort of 7 or 8 minute videos. So if you want to find out more, you can.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's what I've been busy with.
In regards to the yield, like I know these numbers aren't mainnet, but yeah, the APR there. So would that be the same as the normal validators that are delegating, or is it a different APR through this?
No, it should be pretty similar. Obviously, there's a couple of little costs. There's a platform cost and the node operators get their commissions as well. So it's not going to be as good as if you were a solo validator.
Yeah.
So,
but you don't need to set up all of the stuff either. So
that's exactly right. So just in terms of the cost of all your infrastructure for a year or two, you're probably going to work out the same anyway. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, so it actually works out okay.
Well done, man. It's a really clean site. I've got to admit, it seems pretty straightforward. So you've done a great job, man. Well done.
You've done really good. You want it to be as simple as possible, and it couldn't get any easier than exactly what you got there. So with the front end on that, or is that all your work?
No. So the team I'm working with, they've basically got a shell of all of this, so you can modify. I can't take credit for all the hard work in here. Obviously, all the customization and stuff. Yeah, that's us. But
cool.
But yeah, and the beauty about this, I don't want a heavy front end because this is a pure DApp.
Yeah,
which is the way I'd like it to remain. So when it's a pure DApp, that means IPFS.
Yeah.
So you can run it like you would the Hex front end.
Awesome.
I was going to ask that. That's all right.
Yeah.
And so what are the fees? Like there's got to be some fees or something that you...
Yeah, so there's two fees that people probably need to understand, and that's the platform fee, which is 5% of the rewards, and the node operators fee, which is 5% of the rewards as well.
Okay.
So so between those, so basically everything else is then shared between all the pooled users.
Yeah.
The node operators, they need to be compensated. Like I said, they've got costs.
There's hardware, there's also electricity, there's all sorts of things.
Well, it's your time as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a job. You're doing something.
Yeah, true. Because if it goes offline for a period of time, right, they get slashed and.
If it goes offline, they don't necessarily get slashed. They lose rewards, but they don't get slashed. They've got to be.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
They've got to be actually get slashed.
Yeah. But and it's like for as long as it's you're offline, like I remember there was a whole bunch of things. So people have got to put in, the hardware, the electricity costs, and then their time to maintain it, the uptime. So so of course, it makes sense that there's some fees. So the ease of sort of getting someone to do all that stuff for you, and then, but if you're still getting yield out of it, then happy days.
Okay, so the big thing is the access to liquidity. So as a node operator now, you get your 32 million Pulse and you push it into the stake of the validator, and you cannot access that. Okay, so it's locked away. But if you're a user on this, you're getting the benefit as though you're a validator, but you've got still 100% access to your liquidity.
Yeah.
That's the whole big play with the liquid staking side.
And then you can put that into, theoretically, you can take your VPLS and put that into some liquidity position, and then you can create farms based on that VPLS and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so you can then start using it in the ecosystem like you would any other token.
Are there going to be any lending protocols that utilize it as well?
Look, that's up to lending protocols. They can do whatever the hell they like, but the thing I like about this system is there's no liquidation risk. It seems that's as opposed to so whenever you introduce lending or anything like that, there's obviously you've got to cover risks, or cover the system shortfall. So that's what I like about this. It's pretty clean. It's pretty simple. And from and from a validator's point of view, so if you're a solo validator, you might be sitting there going, well, why the hell would I bother? But you can actually play both sides of the system.
Oh, okay. So you can join the pool as a validator and then also participate in the.
Yeah. Right. So initially, like I said, if you're a validator and you chuck in your 32 million pulse, it's locked and you need it there churning away, working. Whereas in this one, you could put in 12 million as a validator, hop on the other side, put in 40 mil. So you've effectively, sorry, not 40 mil, 20 mil. So then you've effectively got the same amount of stake at work, but you've got access to 20 mil worth of your liquidity that you wouldn't normally have access to as a solo validator.
Cool.
Doing it yourself. So that's the big win. I think there's a win in it for all the pieces for all the different parties that come to the protocol.
That's really cool.
Awesome.
In regards to decentralization, is there any like loss there? Because obviously the native style validators, do they have more emphasis or more work towards that decentralization side? Or?
Well, it's the same. It's essentially the same people. So if you're sitting at home with a validator in your office, rather than stake direct with the contract on PulseChain, you come via the vouch thing. It's the same hardware sitting there. It's the same decentralization.
Awesome.
As a validator, there's a couple of other little bits of software you need to run to make it work with the system, just so that everything stays in check. But from a decentralization of the network point of view, it's fine.
That's cool. I just think that's something important for some people because, you see even like derivative tokens and that, and people are saying that's, taking value away from the other things. So I just thought I'd see if there was another side to that, but that's so good. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. It's really awesome, Jack. So well done.
That's right. I'll put some links in the chat and people can go check out the Telegram group and go from there. One other quick thing, if I wouldn't mind making a bit of a mention of, I want this to be a really community-driven effort. So if you think you can add value either as a validator or in any other way, you're a developer, you're creating wallets or whatever you've got, or you're just a user, I want to try and make this very much community-driven. So jump in the Telegram chat, and if you think you can add some value,
awesome.
Let us know. But I do want to reach out to a lot of the existing validators on the network and make sure that they're aware how they can get involved.
Yeah,
cool.
That's really cool. Hey, has there been any talk? We're all waiting on Alex from Hedron to pop his head back out and tell us something about what he's been doing or cooking. There was word that he was going to be doing something like this. Have you heard anything about that? Do you know if he might settle down now that you've done this? Or
he looked at it and he was looking at using. He made mention that he was looking at using Icosa in some way, shape, or form as part of the contract on the platform, which I thought it probably wasn't required to do it. Maybe it's nice for Icosa, but I don't know if you want to link the two systems.
Yeah.
So I don't know. And he did look at doing it, and then he pulled back a little bit for whatever reason. I think there is no doubt there's some. You can't create this sort of system where it's just like a standalone hex contract or a ICOSA contract, because
Sure.
you're dealing with things in the real world. So you've literally got validators sitting there,
Actual hardware. Yeah.
your actual
it's
hardware.
cool.
So you can't have it an isolated thing like the ICOSA contracts. And I think that was probably one of the Alex's.
Well, he's also been
Yeah.
busy as well, because he's just done a tweet the other day where he said that he'd set up the legacy APIs. So
Yep.
I think it means that like GoPulse and things like that are now going to start to show the Hex and Hedron stakes again.
Yeah.
Yes, there's been a few platforms that relied on those APIs. So shout out to Alex for doing that. So I think that's a real positive for the community.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I think people need to understand that there's a lot of people that are out there building infrastructure and tools, and they probably go unrecognized in a lot of cases, but they're playing very, very important roles that if they weren't there, a lot of this infrastructure and services wouldn't exist for everyone. So Alex is one of those guys. You've got Gamma out there. He's running a lot of the back end infrastructure. So there's guys out there they've got key stuff that they're offering, which they're probably not front and center. They deserve a lot of credit.
Definitely, yeah.
Sure.
The ones in the background, definitely they put in the work. And some of them don't like coming on streams. I've noticed that. I think it was Gamma or someone else. Yeah, they were on a stream or invited on once, and very few words. But they definitely know how to build stuff in the background. So it's cool. Everyone's got their thing. Hey, so very good. No, thanks for that. Looking forward to seeing that keep going. And should we do the old when mainnet?
Well,
2 weeks.
Yeah, I jokingly said 2 weeks in a tweet today. Yeah. So I've just pasted the link to the Telegram group if anyone wants to jump in there.
Cool.
It could go quick. Do I want it to go quick? I probably want to be a little bit more cautious with that, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think everyone having a play on testnet, I think, is a good start, and then you see if you can break it and that sort of stuff. It's like let everyone have a good fair crack at it. And after a while, you get that confidence that it's pretty robust.
Yeah,
definitely.
And there's so much that needs to happen on testnet as well, like setting up liquidity pools and things like that. So if anyone, like if you're a user, and that's what I'm saying. So as a user, you can come and play around with all of this and mint some VPulse and set up pools and things like that.
That sounds like fun. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well done, Jackson, man. That's really impressive. So there's been quite a few developments I've noticed this week with wallets and Apple Pay, and I think a few other things. So it kind of seems crazy that, just in 1 week, that all this stuff can go down. But the price has been relatively boring, right? Like they haven't seen much volatility in the market. I think people are just sort of thinking that it's a bit of a snooze fest until, the elections. But in the background, there's a lot of people building shit. Like I noticed that MetaMask and MasterCard were launching a debit card that you can spend from your Ethereum wallet. And it's like, everyone's just like, whatever. It's like, isn't that pretty big news? Like, what?
Yeah, I think in some way, I've seen some MasterCard things in the past. They're talking, this place is teamed up with MasterCard or whatever. And it seems to be that hype that, almost everyone's starting to get bored of it. Hey, but if this is actually happening finally, then that's brilliant. Yeah.
Well, MetaMask is, pretty big, right? So I think that's a bit different from some of the other wallets and things like that. And
I think everyone got partnership fatigue at one point.
Yeah, I suppose so. Maybe that's what it is. But like there was things I noticed. So there's the OKX wallet. They're going to expand those B-links things, the blinks from Solana. They're going to put it onto EVM compatible chains. So, I mean, whether that's a good thing or not, that you could just click on links and interact with wallets. But just the fact that sort of OKX wallet is doing that. There was a thing basically, there was one where Telegram. So they were, how they've got something going with their Ton chain. So they're integrating, Ton or whatever into Telegram, and you can earn Ton tokens and things like that. So it sort of seems like that's, just crypto as a whole, just sort of becoming more mainstream. But yeah, this Apple Pay thing was the one for me that I was like, holy shit. I mean, I don't use Apple, but a lot of people use Apple Pay, right? So if they've opened up that payment chip to third parties, then that means that maybe other people can actually utilize that. So I think there was Circle had one of the guys had put a tweet out there that sort of said that USDC tap to pay on Apple iPhone incoming soon. So this was the Circle CEO. So because of this NFC chip was being open to third-party developers, he was basically implying that they would be able to use USDC to use that chip to maybe if they created their own wallet, and not necessarily using Apple Pay, but you could use the chip on an iPhone and have a wallet. So you could preload that wallet with, so it's not like your whole stack or anything is going to get drained, but you could just have like a wallet for some spending money, and you could put USDC in it, and you could use an iPhone to pay using USDC. I was like, that's actually pretty big change.
Yep, it'd definitely be handy for the more so normies out there, wouldn't it? Seeing crypto being used in the real world. There's a lot of some of the people I've talked to about crypto. Their first thing is, how can I spend with it? Versus what we're
common one, isn't it?
We're sort of in it for. The ethos is more putting it away for now. But yeah, they're straight up, how can I spend it? So
they say, well, is it even I've heard some real dumb takes like from normies that kind of go, well, that's great that you've got so much crypto, whatever, but you can't actually spend it for real dollars. And you're like, wait, what? Yeah, you can just exchange it, right? And they're like, they literally didn't think that you could exchange it for dollar, like
it's just all of a sudden stuck on the computer. Yeah, that's right.
I was like,
it's a learning curve, isn't it? I wasn't sure about Red Squirrel was he was talking about the fiat on ramp. So maybe the MasterCard thing. More of an off ramp.
5% on that sort of stuff on your stack. That's big.
Yeah. The fees are crazy. I mean, I'm not saying I would use it, but it's nice to see like adoption and that sort of stuff.
That is crazy high, because even full service brokers don't charge that.
It's like 0.3% or whatever for credit cards and stuff, or 0.5.
That's
it's like an order of magnitude higher.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But so Crypto Coffee, shout out to him, all round legend and nice guy, has said that there's some sort of ramp.alchemypay.org. So it looks like there's some sort of maybe it's like is it an on ramp? Did you guys see this?
Yeah,
they're talking about
I didn't go into it in detail.
So it looks like they're integrating Alchemy Pay widget, and then so there's this might be because of that Coast stuff.
Yeah. No, it's a separate thing to Coast. It's just another on ramp. Yeah.
So Alchemy do a bunch of RPC endpoints and a whole bunch of other cool stuff as well. So I haven't seen this Alchemy Pay thing. So
I used to be a little bit against all of those sorts of services because, and I've still got concerns. And the main reason I was against them is obviously they crucify you on fees.
Yeah.
But in terms of actually getting people into the chain really easily or into crypto really easily, I think there's a massive win to have there, because I think it's worse when you've got to taking someone through the process of getting through an exchange is probably one of the most daunting parts of coming in to crypto. Because they've got to learn so much. They've got to sit there and look at this they're getting better, but looking at like trading interfaces to get the best price execution in an exchange and things like that.
Well, I think the reason why I thought that was close is because it's obviously not, but the gainpulsechain.com, I think that's actually because I think that's Crypto Coffee's referral link to the 0x Coast guys. So because they've now got that partnership with the Old Glory Hole Bank, we talked about that last week. But so they have got apparently an inbuilt like Pateus front end, so you can basically just transfer your funds straight in, and then straight away you get the best order execution. So it sounded like he was saying that he still thinks that that's his preferred way to buy is through that the Coast thing. So I haven't played around with that, but certainly
so
cool.
at the moment you can get one of those services that don't cream a user, then that's a winner, I reckon.
And if you hold a bunch of weight tokens, I think you pay less in fees, I think, for the Coast thing.
So I think Coast is, if you want to move volume, I think you're going to need to go through those guys, because a lot of those other front end ones where they're nice, simple little widget sort of thing, there's usually a lot of limits on them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like, there's a few of those, the change now and all that sort of stuff. Is that what you mean? Yeah, those ones that kill you with the fees, but.
Yeah, and that's why I've never been a big promoter of them. I guess they're a necessary evil when you haven't got a lot of listings and things like that.
Yeah, I think people should just learn to use how to use bridges, like personally, because I think that's an important part. People don't like it.
Yeah, I think it is, but from a new user onboarding perspective,
true. New user,
that's a lot of friction.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah, I hope the Coast guys absolutely smash it. I really do.
Same to you. Yeah, I love that. There's even like your work, Jexa, but some Aussie guys, putting in the work. It's a good thing for us as well to sort of know that it's people like that doing it. But I agree everything you were saying just then about coming in through exchanges and bridging and that. It's I've talked about it before on here, but it's definitely daunting for newer users. And if they just want to get on and sort of dip their toes in, it's probably good to do it in those easier ways, even if it's with a credit card or whatever and a bit of a fee, just to get it going. And then you find all the easier ways, just like in anything, you start building for the first time and cutting blocks of wood up, you find better ways to do it, more efficient and whatever. I think that's a good way to learn. Yeah.
And I think you've hit a really good point, is when you're coming in, sometimes you come through the easiest way, but you take a hit in terms of fees, but that's cost of learning, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, if you held off, like just say, I'm not saying anything about, price predictions, but just say you were going to do it now, but you didn't, you waited 6 months because you were too scared to use a bridge. And then the price ran up on you. You were better off coming in with a 5% fee. So
this is the only industry that can get away with charging a 5% clip. On coming in, because in most other industries, that would take you a long time to get that back.
Yeah, definitely. No, that's cool. Hans is in there saying, "Pump our bags, boys."
That's it. That's what we do. That's what we're trying to do.
And if you want to come jump on stream and do it with us, send us a message and you can come on. So anyone that's out there, this isn't just for us, or it's not like a private sort of streaming channel. We're happy to have anyone on here, and as long as you're going to say relatively nice things most of the time, we'd be happy to chat with you and talk crypto or jiu-jitsu or gym sessions or Prada, whatever you're into. Just a little bit of positive news. Some people might have different opinions on this, but it's good to see that Kareem is out and about. Supposedly after being detained for 16 days, a lot of people have really got in there and put some funds together to help him get out. A bit of an unfortunate thing, possibly, from what we've heard about having ammo in his bag or something. Not not the smartest mistake, but we all make mistakes. So anyway, community members out, and that was a community effort that did it. So yeah, well done to everyone out there that helped out. Yeah, and just for keeping a positive vibe on it. I know some people don't, but I think it's just good to stay positive in the community. Fast Abdul, clothing requirement. Well, when you're on stream, we're supposed to all wear suits, aren't we?
Suit up. That's it.
Yeah, you're normally wearing the suit. So next time you come on, I'll wear a suit. All right. Well,
that's it.
Yeah, we'll get it going.
Oh, you have to tell me in advance. But I like wearing suits, actually. I could get used to that. That last
definitely.
time.
Yeah, I wore one a few days ago, actually. It's a nice, it wasn't for the nicest thing, going to a funeral, but yeah, suits are nice. They're
it's like weddings and stuff. Like once you start walking around in a suit, you just like, I could get used to this.
Yeah, feel like a high roller, eh? Yeah. We didn't even bust out the suits at the PulseChain meetup. I suppose the price was pretty low.
Yeah.
But
that's pretty crazy when you see like old timey footage, the 1920s and stuff, and everyone's wearing like full suits, like hats, waistcoats, 3-piece suits, and you're just thinking, damn, we're really slack. Like these days, we've really come a long way in some regards.
I reckon we've got an excuse in Australia. It's way too hot to be wearing that sort
too
of
hot
shit.
For that shit. Yeah. Just
it's the middle of summer and people are running around in suits. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. So it's sort of an indication that you're in air conditioned in the office somewhere, and that's not so bad. But yeah, if you're wandering around outside, you got to put your double pluggers on.
That's it. No one likes seeing the old sweat patches in the suit shirts and stuff like that. Do they?
We always rock the thongs around here, and but not the thongs that the Americans are thinking of. But
yeah, that's exactly
double
right.
pluggers.
Yeah. Hey,
have you got something else? I was just going to quickly show if we're saying bullish things.
Oh, there's zeros there. Nice.
Yeah. So apparently there was 250 million USDC that was printed. This was about 10 hours ago. It sounded like that might have been actually on Solana, but Circle did print 250 million USDC. And I saw not so long ago that Tether had printed nearly $1 billion worth of USDT.
What's your thoughts on Bitfinex, the account Bitfinex?
Bitfinex?
Twitter account?
Yeah. So Bitfinex has been after Tether since the day I've been in crypto. he's still out there having a go at him. He's never proven anything, but he's on their case.
Well, I was under the impression that they had the reserves. So when they're printing $1 billion, that's because there's actually $1 billion.
Well, that's his
it's the Tether fund.
Yeah.
So that's been around since 2017, man. I mean, probably before, but I remember it strong in 2017 and 2018. It was like, but once they find out that there's no backing for Tether, then everything's going to zero. And it's like, well, and then it's still around, 7 years later.
He's definitely committed to the cause because he's been hounding them. He's the ultimate troll account.
Yeah, I think I've seen it around, but no, it's just imaginary horribles in my mind. It's like, we were talking about before.
It could be legitimately right. I don't know, but
you don't know. But you've got to equally. That's the Richard Hart thing, where you've got to provide, the same amount of energy into these imaginary horribles that there isn't a backing dollar to dollar for the Tether that's printed. You've got to provide, the same amount of energy into the positive, the magic carpet ride sort of thing, where it's like, hang on, there's liquidity being injected into traditional legacy markets, and then now there's more I guess liquidity globally, and there's there's like different banks and things like that. I think I saw the Bank of Japan and the Bank of China, like there was a whole bunch of they added $400 million to the Bank of Japan, and the Bank of China had $97 billion worth of credit to the global money base. So I'm not sure exactly how that works, but it seems like the global liquidity, and there's charts and things like I could show you. I think Somi's been talking about it lately. So if I pull this up, I think this is the S&P 500, and then this is the global liquidity index. So I didn't know about this index, so shout out to Somi. But
That's
you can actually
the yellow line, is it, or the blue?
No, it's this blue one. Sorry, it's
Yeah,
this
yeah.
blue one here.
Yeah.
So if you look at what the inputs are for the global liquidity index, Federal Reserve, a whole bunch of this, the M2, also US money supply, European, China, Japanese money supply.
That's a good one,
And
isn't
so,
it?
yeah, when you start to see, and there's obviously a lag, right, when how much money gets put into the system. So as you were getting this massive Japanese carry trade, liquidations and things like that went on, there was actually a lot of money being injected, lots of liquidity being injected. So that's actually bullish for me to sort of think, hang on, if there's more money in a closed system, then the more, if you've injected more into a system, then there's more floating around, then it finds its way around, and then there's interest and there's leverage and things like that. So when I see
on that indicator, you can actually isolate it to where the money's coming from as well.
Yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can deselect these or whatever. So you can see if you wanted to see other central banks, or if it was just the US money supply. Maybe I haven't played with it too much, but it seems like you can adjust that. So it's pretty good. It's an indicator, and it's I thought that was pretty cool. But I guess what I was saying is that, like, that idea of injecting liquidity into a closed system, it's sort of the same with Tether. So then the magic carpet ride, the other side of the Tether FUD is, okay, well, now there's an extra billion USDT floating around in crypto. So then how does that get expanded upon in terms of...
Is that a correct way to look at that, though? So let's say someone held a whole bunch of Bitcoin and they moved it into USDT. Would that not represent this as the same metric?
Well, so this is Tether actually printing new, they're expanding the Tether supply by 1 billion Tether.
Yeah. So I'm saying if someone's got 10,000 Bitcoin or 100,000 Bitcoin and they sell it into
dollars
Tether,
or into Tether. I thought that the way that they did that was I guess
you have to use existing liquidity to sell into it. Yeah.
I thought they actually took dollars, like they had to back for every Tether that was printed. They actually had to have dollars. They couldn't just keep it in Bitcoin.
Yeah, might be
fluctuate.
Yeah, you might be right, actually, because that would sell into existing Tether supply.
Yeah, it couldn't be backed by a volatile asset. It has to be dollars, I'm pretty sure. So that's if you believe.
I agree on that. Yeah.
That's if you believe that they've got it backed, dollar for Tether. But let's assume that they do. Let's make the assumption that there is. Then for them printing more, it just means that someone has taken more dollars and then injected it effectively into crypto. So more liquidity sloshing around eventually, like it just seems like that's how markets go up. This is what I've sort of come to that conclusion. Like when you step back and you take a bit of a look at it, you realize that it's actually this flow of liquidity and the cycles. And then basically that's what drives inflation. So then eventually everything goes up with respect to everything else. So then it's actually not worth as much, so you've got to be careful. And then that's why in the Federal Reserve's case, when they're printing, they've got to be careful, because then inflation goes through the roof, and then they have to hence crank interest rates to go back down. So but it just seems like they're just cycles. Like that's the only, and I agree also that I think it's an inherently flawed system, but it is the system that we have.
You've got to play the cards you dealt, mate.
So then, you basically you got to look for these periods where the liquidity is being injected, because that's when you're actually going to see some positive numbers.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, we've had 43 grace us with his presence again. No
Wait,
balls, no bullhorns.
Guys,
But
I'm in the car. I'm driving. I don't know how bad the audio is. It probably sounds terrible.
it's all right. We got you. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
So I wasn't going to come back on, but I heard you guys talking about the credit card thing.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I actually think that how hard it is to get all of that side of things to work, and then for there to be enough fat on the lamb for those middlemen to make money off it. I think it's better to just, like, as a long-term goal for crypto to onboard the vendors of goods and services, so that they're actually receiving their payment in crypto. Because if we're just focused on let's get it with credit cards, all we're doing is we're getting these middlemen into the process, and then all the new people coming in they're hooked on the legacy side of things. And I think ultimately what we want to do is we want to improve the system, and improving the system means cutting out like the dead whatever,
totally agree. The incumbents, yeah.
I think it'd be
that.
definitely the best way to go. But how does that help with onboarding the money?
Well, I think if people, well, I mean that side of holding it needs to be a little bit easier than it is.
Yeah.
Right. But if people are earning in crypto, then there's not going to be this fixation with going back and forth.
For sure. Yep.
Between the two.
Yep. Couldn't have said it better.
So if you
Nice
earn in
one.
crypto, but you can also spend, then onboarding is more about like earning, like you can earn money in crypto, and you're just using crypto as the medium of exchange rather than fiat. And then and you're using you're using systems that are censorship resistant rather than systems that are censorable and are censored, like people are censored all the time,
Do you know what I think is going to assist with that? So I think there's one chain that does that really well at the moment, and that's Tron. So at the moment, peer-to-peer USDT transactions in India are off the hook there. Like they literally move the most amount of volume out of the whole sector, the whole space is moved through Tron. And that's probably borne about by you've got individuals that maybe they have trouble with getting access to banking and things like that. So then they're literally forced to start using an alternative system, and Tron's pretty light in terms of costs and things like that. So they probably have got a lot of people running around with wallets on their phones, and they can actually start to use it the way it was intended, which is using it for goods and services. And actually, using the technology as you would and bypassing the incumbents. So I think that's going to be harder to do in developed countries because they're so hooked into the existing rails with Visa and MasterCard and the underlying payment processes that sit behind them. I think it's one of the biggest ones. I think it's First National Data or something like that is the actual. They're the guys that actually sit under Visa that you don't hear about. So they're the guys providing all the services there. So First National Data is one of the biggest networks.
So that's
you're right.
So that's stablecoin sort of on Tron you're talking about.
Tron,
like
yeah. So that's stablecoin movements.
Yeah.
So they're
so
doing.
How does that translate to?
That's a really good point. I think that onboarding through developing countries is probably where it's going to be at. And then when those developing countries a lot of the time, that's where industry develops because they've got the cheaper labor. When they start asking for like international payments in crypto, because that's how they're going to pay their employees. That's when we're going to see. I think it might take 20 years, something like that, to happen. But we could. That's where we might see a shift in the first world countries.
Yeah. So there's countries that bypassed fixed telephone services because to get that infrastructure out now so late in the game when you've got mobiles out there, there's no point doing it. It's old tech. So
it's like the NBN. It's just became redundant because they got Starlink now. After they're slowly rolling it out. So.
Yeah, exactly. So they leapfrogged all that old tech, much the same way a newer country like Australia, they probably leapfrogged a lot of other hang-ups like small, narrow roads that other countries have from the horse and cart days. So we got a chance to leapfrog that. We've got probably better road infrastructure because of that. So these guys have better communications infrastructure because they got to leapfrog all the fixed telephone stuff. Guys that adopt crypto the quickest, they'll be in that advantage. And then it's hopefully you can sort of push that back through or drag it back through is how we're going to have to do it. Drag it back through into developed places.
So I got a quick question for you because you were talking about Tron having, this, I think there's a huge amount of volume in terms of stable coins. So how does that translate to the actual price of Tron? Like, so is there any, so I was just looking at the Tron chart. What does that have any impact?
Well, I guess the impact, I guess it would have, and I haven't looked at the Tron chain for a long time, but obviously more like full blocks is obviously beneficial from a yield and a return that the chain actually generates. So if it's getting used and people are paying the like on ETH or Pulse paying priority fees, that's real economic energy that the chain is capturing and producing. So whether or not, I don't know how that's translating into the TRX price. I don't know.
I'll have to have a look because even if you look at like Bitcoin, it's sort of sitting on that 58K support at the moment, but it's still below the 20-day moving average. It's actually below the 10, and the 10's below the 20 as well. So it's still kind of looking like it hasn't really recovered from that Japanese carry trade liquidations that happened. Whereas if I just went to TRX, it actually looks slightly healthier. Like it's above the 20 MA.
It's not too dissimilar, is it? Can you zoom out a little bit? What's it like when you zoom that chart out? I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, so if I go weeklies or something like that, it's certainly a nice uptrend. Yeah. So it's approaching like weekly all-time high closes and things like that. So it doesn't look terrible.
I think they've found their product market fit, which you probably wouldn't have expected it to happen. Like, what does everyone think of? If I said Justin Sun, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Oh, didn't he buy a whole bunch of ETH and then sell the top or something?
He bought more ETH than RH at a cheaper price. That's what I think.
Okay, so traditionally, and maybe this is my bias from earlier days, like Justin Sun was just considered a scammer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Probably because he made his own chain, because everyone that makes their own chain gets called a scammer initially.
Yeah, look, he's definitely one of the main characters because, a lot of these guys, Do Kwon and stuff went to jail and, CZ and things like that. So Justin Sun, he's one of the last men standing. So maybe he's next. Don't want to jinx him. But
regardless, like I said, he's worth a lot in the space. He's probably was a little bit controversial. His chain's found product market fit. So I'm good on him. Go for it. Need more people like that. Need more products to succeed like that.
Yeah.
Speaking of new other products, have you guys looked at LHEX, that airdrop for Hex stakers recently? I know that during the week, I follow the founder on Twitter. He releases like a monthly report, like a really comprehensive monthly report about Hex staking. I suggest anyone interested in Hex staking and the trends of what is happening, goes and follows him and looks at those posts. But one thing he mentioned in one of his Twitter posts was that in LHEX there was a big burning of LHEX, of liquidity. So I thought that was interesting and worth mentioning. Maybe we can look at the chart.
Yeah,
that'll be great.
I'll get
it's hard to know what there was 21K of liquidity I just saw in this LHEX Coast pair, but that's only 1 day old. There's 16K that's 2 months old.
Yeah, that's the new thing that just happened. But I think in the post, and I can't remember it verbatim, but I believe that some liquidity was burned, I think.
Interesting.
I might have read it in the middle of the night.
There's some sort of event that's happened here because it went skyrocketed and then just got sold straight back down. So I'm not sure what happened there. That would have been 12th of August.
Can you pull back so we can see the whole chart?
Yeah. I can't go too far because it's just got this massive wick at the start.
Yeah, it makes it hard, doesn't it?
It can't scale.
Yep.
That's why I went to 4 hour.
On about that date, there was 21,000 worth of liquidity added for the LHEX and Coast stablecoin pair.
Yeah. So
I don't know if that's what you're seeing there.
Yeah, that happened. That looked like it happened yesterday. So,
all right.
If you go in the LHEX here, there's a LHEX Coast pair that had 21K of liquidity, but it's only one day and 6 hours old, like that pool. So, but there wouldn't be much to look at in terms of a chart. But that's cool that there's more liquidity because that's what you need, right?
Yep, definitely. Yep. Yeah, I'm trying to find what 43 is talking about. There's a fair report here. I'll link to in the chat, but it's probably a little bit much to go over right now.
Yeah, so if you're into the hex stats, Crispy and Ben, they're the people to follow.
For sure, yeah. I was going to bring up some of the Hexfire charts shortly, but Dozza, if you want to show off some of these charts quickly.
I just want to have a quick look to see where we're at with Pulse.
Yeah,
I mean, it certainly looks like, there was this daily close that it sort of seems to be supporting like 4034 around there. That certainly seems to be support. I mean, look, it's just sitting on it there. It didn't close below it. So we haven't made like new all-time lows, but it is pretty grim. And I think you were saying last week, Jaxa, that, the MACD is starting to look, but I think you're looking at it on the 3-day, but it does look like it's going to start to cross over there. So hopefully we see some uptrend from here on.
Even on that one, if you zoom out, you can see where it was. You can see how long the uptrend on the MACD is compared to the downtrend on the price.
Yeah, true. It's just been going up and up, and the price has been going down. So that's that hidden bullish divergence thing that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm always interested in the wrapped ETH, wrapped Pulse. So let's just quickly have a look at that. So it's just sitting in that channel. That's just unbelievable, isn't it? It's amazing that it can just keep doing this. So anytime it kind of goes out of this channel, it just goes straight back in.
Do you have anything to say on that channel there, Jaxa? Doz's, we've been talking about that ever since back then in,
Yeah, I haven't actually pulled it apart. Yeah, I'm probably not in the best position to comment because I haven't spent any time looking at that chart, but it's a very interesting pattern, that's for sure.
It's just like falling, and then dead straight.
It looks, to me, that certainly people are trying to price things in certain ratios, I guess is one way to put it. Don't want to use the M word.
Seems that way.
It certainly, but it's great for low impermanent loss when you've got a wrapped ETH, wrapped Pulse farm, certainly. So, but it just keeps ticking on, which means that we're really sort of tied to that ETH price. So it kind of makes me want to go back and then see how ETH is going, because, since the ETF, it's been going down. And I know that when Bitcoin had its ETF, it was a good 30 days, I think, until it sort of recovered. Actually, that might be worth just having a quick look at. So
wasn't Bitcoin already in an uptrend though? Like, it was already pushing up. The whole space was pushing up. So everyone just went, yeah, it's all the ETFs.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, true. But it did drop down when the BlackRock BTC ETF went live.
How many days was
down? It went down to about 20%, and it sort of got back to where it was after about 30 days.
Yeah, right.
That's just back from here to here. That's just back to where it was. So that's why I guess the speculation was, about a month after the Ethereum ETF, it would have been nice to see it back to where it was. But yeah, maybe we're just too tied to Bitcoin, because 30 days from here is going to be like the 22nd of August, and we're nowhere near really where it was. We were at like $3,500.
Considerable drop. What percentage drop is that from to where we are now?
It is about 26%. But it's not so much the percentage down, it's just the fact that it hasn't recovered as much.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So in the 30 days, like the 22nd of August, to be back at $3,500, that would have been great. But we're like sitting on 2.6. So
you might be looking
a long way to go.
You might get a little bit of an inverse Bart there.
Oh yeah, maybe. There's a lot of triangles and stuff that we can draw, but poke flags. But look, it's not great. So if you look at the Sol ETH ratio, Sol's been outperforming ETH for quite a while, and then now it's looking like we're sitting on support there. So Sol's been doing okay. Obviously, if you look at so that's just Sol. It's still a little bit down from that sort of $200 mark. It's sitting at $144. But if you look at the ETH BTC, if I put that maybe on the weeklies, I can't remember if it was log or not, but yeah, there seemed like there was a pretty big channel that we're sitting in. It's certainly hasn't broken out of that channel. So yeah, Bitcoin's still outperforming. Oh, I'm on the wrong one here. That's the one I was looking for. So yeah, ETH BTC is still downtrend as well. So yeah, maybe we just got to wait to the end of the cycle to see the ETH BTC ratio sort of flip. And then obviously if Pulse is so correlated with ETH, then we'll start to see that. And in a lower liquidity environment, we might see Pulse outperform ETH as well. That would be good.
Definitely. Yeah, that's good stuff. We'll get into some more degen TA with Doz maybe in a minute. If anyone wants to start throwing some tickers in the chat, you got time for that, Dozzo?
Yeah. We'll do a quick one. Just do a quick fire, look at some charts.
Cool. But I just wanted to quickly bring up some charts that only go up and to the right for a minute. Nice. Which is the Hex share rate. I know 43 will be patting me on the back for this, so that's why I'm doing it, just so I can keep streaming with you guys. No, but anyway, just wanted to.
I think we stream with you these days, don't we?
Yeah, exactly, mate. You're running the show, bro.
That's good stuff. It's a pleasure,
guys. I'm going to actually jump off. I've got a few things I need to tackle.
That's cool.
No worries.
We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for showing your project and for putting in the hard work with that. I'm definitely going to jump on it as soon as it's out. So good work on Vouch.
Right. Yeah, thanks, well done, Jexer. Thanks, mate. Yeah. Have a good weekend.
Good day. Bye.
See you, man. Bye. So I was just bringing up the share rate quickly.
I definitely want to check out that Vouch thing on testnet as well. I think that's going to be cool to have a play.
Yeah, we should have a play on there. Definitely. I love the idea of making it easier for, the smaller guys, to get in, or creating that liquid sort of stack still is really nice, rather than having to lock it up, even though, a lot of the things that we work on, like with Hex, is keeping it locked. But it's good to have, all different things going on, which is why I wanted to bring up this share rate chart for Hex, because I still believe in Hex staking. And as you can see, the share rate's just going to keep going up. Where I think last time we talked, we were about 35,000 when 43 and I were looking at this, and now we've poked our heads above 36,000. And then there's another big jump coming sort of, later this year, and then we'll be at the 40,000 mark. So there's never been a better time really to be getting into Hex. And the DESI rate is still really good as well. But the other one was, where are we? Sorry, I'm still getting used to this. That daily payout. There we go. So this is another one that's slowly creeping up and to the right, which is your daily payout per Hex. For Hexes per T share, and we can see these spikes. And
wow.
A lot of what we've been talking about is coming into the next bull run. I really think we're going to see a whole heap of spikes as people start emergency end staking, and because it's, stakes are coming into their 5-year mark, which for some 10-year stakes, it's, they're going to get all their principal back at least for the 50%. So if you've got Hex stakes, you're going to start getting paid out big time, I reckon, in these next, up until about, here halfway through 2025, because I predict a lot of people are going to be bailing out. So the stronger hands will hold it. And so at the moment, what are we at, Dozer? 7 Hex per T share. And if we go back, just a year ago, it was about the 6.5. And then we're getting massive spikes every now and then of, 11 per T share. What's this one? Can't get onto that one. 18 Hex per T share. So if you got them stacked up and out a fair way, I reckon we're in for a good accumulation of Hex. And there we go.
That's
43.
Unreal,
43, giving me the old pat on the back. Thanks, mate.
That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely bullish on Hex. And yeah, the whole idea of a savings account, or, putting some funds away for a later date, I think is the way to go with the long-term horizon on everything, which is, down to the delayed gratification. So if you've got a little bit you can afford to stake, do it. But I reckon definitely a little bit of liquid around is good for these next few months where we might see a spike.
Cool, man. That's really interesting. Yeah, thanks for that. There is one other chart that goes up and to the right, because you talk about the share rate. It's the US national debt. I guess maybe it's like global debt. So I brought this up before, but I just find these numbers mind-boggling. So since 2020, the debt has ballooned by 50%, from 23 trillion to 35 trillion. So the interest on the debt has skyrocketed with higher rates, averaging 5%. So the interest on the debt is on pace for 1.5 trillion per year, and 30%. So that's 30% of all government revenue collected goes into just paying the interest. Wow.
Goodness me.
So every time I look at it, I just kind of think, how is this going to work? So if 30% of all the government revenue collected is just to pay the interest on the debt, so it's just going to keep going up, right? Until 100% of all the government revenue is just paying the interest?
Exactly. Yeah, it seems that way. That's what I was sort of saying, how it's like, it's sort of, I don't see how it could just keep going like this. There has to be something that's like a massive change.
I mean, it's the system that we're talking about. Yeah. So that, they just have to keep creating more money, they're printing more money and injecting more liquidity, but they're effectively creating more debt as well in the process. So it's just uncomfortable. I think it's what it is. This is the system, the flawed, the inherently flawed system that we live with, and it's uncomfortable. But
I'm with you. Hey, if you want to see it, I don't know if you've seen this, but see it ticking away in real time.
Oh, the debt clock.
Yeah, that's the US debt clock.
Yeah, that's crazy. There you go. That's
spend a bit of time in here looking at all this stuff. But yeah, just the rate, is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, it also kind of makes you pull back of it and kind of think, wow, there's some serious dollars getting thrown around. So yeah, anyway, it gives you a bit of an overview effect when you start to look at these sorts of numbers.
Exactly. Just before you go into the TA, one more thing I come across just earlier was this, and there's more Hex soccer Guernseys getting around.
Oh yeah,
because apparently this Mexican soccer team is now wearing Hex jerseys, and someone sponsored them. So
good on them.
I don't know I don't know how long ago this happened, but it's only just been posted. Yesterday. So awesome. Yeah, good on them, and we wish them the best of luck. But it's great just to see, that community spirit still living on. I know I talk about that a lot, but that's what brought me here, and is so important to me. So yeah, the community spirit's great, and it's good just to see the name getting out there. So it's definitely not fading. Yeah, good on you guys. It's just so awesome. So where is it? This guy here is the one you might want to go and follow and just give him a big thumbs up. What's that? Darkimedes or something like that. I'll put that in the chat, and if you can give him a follow and give him a like on that post, I reckon that'd be awesome. Yep, as 43 says, cool. The Mexican Hexicans.
That's right.
Yeah, well done. All right, Dozzy, you're going to hit the TA.
Yeah, you can just we can have a quick look. I think we've been going for sort of 2 hours now, so let's just go through it rapid fire. But if you've got any tickers in the chat you want us to look at, then please do.
Definitely. There was one earlier, the Trump one on a PulseChain. If you can bring that one up,
we can have a squiz. Yeah, for sure.
This old is always getting into it.
Old mate here with shilling his bags. That's okay. That's we're doing the same thing. We're trying to get some engagement from the chat, and feel free to put tickers even in the comments on YouTube, whatever, and then we can have a look at them next week. So I think it's good for engagement.
Definitely.
So I just wanted to quickly look. So yeah, we talked about the ETH BTC ratio. We talked about the Pulse ETH ratio, and so that's looking pretty solid. But the Hex Pulse ratio, sort of in that 100 to 140 pulse per hex range, so 128 at the moment. So sort of going sideways more than anything. And then also the ink pulse ratio, that seems to be at the bottom of this channel. So there's a linear regression channel that I had here, and it was sort of going sideways, but it looks like ink has been underperforming pulse, but it's going to hit the bottom of that channel. So we might start to see a bit of a price increase of ink versus pulse coming up.
That's cool.
That would be interesting.
Hey, do you by any chance have the ink PulseX for those that are farming?
Do, mate. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Blind. Too many swatches. Okay, so this is ink PulseX as a ratio. Oh wow! So PulseX has actually been dominating. Yeah, so ink is actually going down versus PulseX. You can see this; it's below the 20 MA, it's below the 10. So yeah, PLS has actually been outperforming. So that might be good to have a look at the PLSX pulse ratio, just to keep on track of that. Because remember that was killing it.
Yeah.
And we were saying that PLSX was actually been sort of on a bit of a tear versus pulse. Because it's in price discovery. It's above it sort of it was above that major line of resistance, but 0.46, and it's just been going up and up and up. And
I
it's
thought PulseX was dead.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people have been telling us. So
Yeah.
no, the ratios have been shifting. So PulseX has been outperforming Pulse, in fact. So it's been a good buy since about April. If
cool.
you wanted to stack more Pulse, you could have bought it at 0.36 and then like Pulse per PulseX, and then sold it at what is it, 5.4 Pulse per hex. So you would get more Pulse if you had done that ratio trade. So it's funny how the ratio trade period when before the bridges was live and everything, it's like this is that 2-day ratio trade period, but it's like it never ended. The ratio trades keep going forever. And you realize that everyth's a ratio trade. Like it's all
just to get your head around it. Yeah.
Pulse versus ETH. It's ETH versus BTC. Like it's BTC versus houses or cars or whatever it is. It's just a ratio of what you hold versus what you're buying or what you're selling. So
definitely.
Yes. So the ratio trade stuff, I think, is certainly worth keeping track of. Because you don't want to be sort of looking back and then go, oh, hang on a sec. Pulse has been outperforming PulseX for like 18 months, and I'm only just figuring it out now.
That's
right.
That's
why you have to sort of be paying attention.
Or just watching our streams.
Yeah, exactly. Just watch our streams and we'll just tell you for you.
That's it. Not financial.
But I think part of this is actually because, and partly, we were talking about this PulseX versus Inc ratio. So if I invert those, so this is PulseX versus Inc inverted. So you can see how it's outperforming Inc. There's a couple of things going on here. It's because, there's a lot of big whales that have provided liquidity in the yield farms, earning a lot of Inc, and then they're putting that Inc back into the farms. So they're compounding their yield. So inherently, because Inc is inflationary, like it's being emitted, 1 Inc per second or whatever it is. There's more of it coming into existence, and the more that people are using, their liquidity to get Inc as yield, and then they put that Inc back into the farms, then they're compounding it, then they're getting more Inc. So you can kind of see how it's kind of inflationary, whereas PulseX has got the buy and burn. So PulseX is deflationary.
Exactly.
So it's something that I sort of, have been talking about it for a long time, and people kind of massive fans of Inc, and I'm always like, what? But I get it as like it can be a speculative. It could just go up because why not? Exactly. Like any market, anything could go up. And at some point it was going up, and there wasn't much Inc going around back in those days because it obviously hadn't been emitted as much. But you could speculate that the price could go up. But in terms of the fundamentals, it never really made sense. But a lot of people are massive bullish on Inc. So what do I know? But I do think that the chart is sort of telling you that PulseX is outperforming.
That's right.
Sure.
One other thing, with all that, people might be into Inc because it's a new kid on the block as well. Like I know Pulse and PulseX is, but a lot of hexagons probably haven't had incentive tokens to play with, and yield farming and stuff like that. So there could be a bit of that, or they could just be right, and it could just go to the moon. So that's why it's good to hold a bit of everything, isn't it?
It can be. I tend to want to hold the thing that's performing the best. I mean, of course, you've got your long-term holds that you just sort of don't touch or whatever. But maybe in terms of a trading bag, I tend to want to be in the thing that's outperforming. But
For sure.
I guess it's different percentages.
You're just an expert trader, though, so.
No, I'm certainly not. But I just mean like, it's proportions of your stack. Like you might want to. I think that people have this thing that all traders are wrecked and trading is a bad word and all this sort of stuff. It's like, maybe if you're using 100% of your stack and you're trading it like on 1 hour candles, then
that's right.
You're going to get wrecked. But that's not what I'm talking about. Like, you're talking about just trying to maximize a position.
Exactly. That's good.
But yeah, just real quick, I'll just go through some DGen coins here. So HOA certainly looks like it's still in a downtrend, although it could be forming a bottom, maybe. So maybe I should see if there's any lines of resistance or support or anything there. But it's really has just been in a downtrend for ages. But it certainly has looking like it's flattened out.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see that close above the 20 MA. Dick with Bart. Oh, on the daily has closed above the 20 MA.
Nice.
There you go. So, and I wouldn't mind putting the MACD on, because we've sort of been looking at that recently. Yeah, so even on the daily, it's crossed over here.
Yeah.
So, and that looked like it was around about the bottom. So, yeah, I'm starting to look at that as, when you look at a chart, let's say, HOA was actually a good one, because we talked about that like early days when we noticed it was breaking below that 20 MA.
Yeah.
And we were sort of saying, oh, look, it could be going into a bit of a downtrend up here. And then we were wondering whether it would hold support.
Yeah.
But if you look at that's always going to be a lagging indicator, right, with these moving averages. But that sometimes can be an interesting place to sell if it closes below that 20 MA. But I'm starting to looking at the MACD seems to precede like the sell signal for the, if you close above the 20 MA on the daily, you would think, oh, that's actually maybe a good place to buy. But because it's a lagging indicator, you're not actually getting the bottom. But I noticed that the MACD, where they cross over, does tend to trigger around about the bottom. So so it doesn't always work out, but certainly if you're looking for bottoms, then looking at that MACD might be worthwhile. Pika, oh yeah, look, they've crossed over. This is the 10 and the 20 moving average. Looks like it's back in the right sort of way. So
nice. Things might be looking up on the oranges.
Yeah. Oh, this is that Peter Parker Bush did 9/11 thing. That's still pretty low. OMG. I think that's been going sideways for some time. Sorry, my mic is in the way here. I can't actually see what's going on. But yeah, it's still below the 20 MA there. So this is more like the edge with this one is obviously the elections. So you're thinking that this coin, the Orange Man Good, is going to dominate in November. But most of the other Tangang stuff has sort of gone down. I noticed they have been doing a lot of stuff with base lately, and I haven't really participated. So I think they had that Melon Usk.
Yes, yep. It's a hard one.
I know. And there was another one as well. So I haven't really been paying much attention. There's probably some other PulseChain meme coins that we could look at. I think that guy mentioned there was that Trump one that he always shills and then probably disappears.
It was a Trump on PulseChain. Oh, and thanks for week doxing my bags with the G'day coin. Letting everyone know I'm a whale. Come on, mate. What is this?
Mate, I didn't say it conclusively. I just suspected I suspected that you were a good day whale.
That's hilarious.
You can always tell, right, when people are like 43 sort of going with the whole, oh, why don't you check out the whole LHEX coin? Oh, that's interesting. It's like 43. Are you by some chance an LHEX whale?
Love it.
People are going to ask you to shill or to look at the things that they own, right? Like that's,
definitely. Yeah.
And then you'll notice that when people start talking smack about a coin, it's normally because they've sold.
Exactly. Yeah. Or they missed the run up.
Yeah, or they're trying to get a lower entry. Yeah,
That's right.
so it's the bag bias is real, like for sure.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So that Trump coin that guy was shilling is going sideways. Yeah, it's not doing a lot.
Cool.
It's got some resistance up here that it is still below. I guess let's price it in Pulse. This is the one that's got like 1.6 grand worth of liquidity.
Yeah, that's right.
Man, Fast Abdul's suit is worth more than this whole buy side. So let's actually that's an understatement. It's probably both sides. So
that's exactly right.
Let's just keep it
That's
real
funny.
here.
There's one other one. He wants you to look up wifey. He must have a whole big bag of wifeys.
Someone's got a big bag of wifey.
Yeah,
what?
Wifey OMG pair, and we'll make that the last one, eh?
Melania Trump. Okay, this is on Sol. All right, let's have a look. So, if this is oh no, it looks like okay. There is a PulseChain version because there's 7.3K of liquidity on Sol. It looks like this is a a political thing because it's got Melania Trump in it.
Yeah.
In terms of Pulse, oh come on, man, $38 worth of liquidity.
That'll be a legit chart.
Yeah.
Maybe
okay. Let's not even
bother.
bother.
Where there's more liquidity, but
let's have a look at the Sol one. Well. Let's look at the Sol one because that actually has 7 grand of liquidity, and the chart's wrecked. No, these that looks pretty pump and dumpy to me. Yeah. All right. Anyway, is there any others?
Tetra for Red Squirrel. So he wants you to say how bad it is so people will dump.
Oh, cool. Is it Tetra P or something?
Yeah.
I always think it's like
that's it. Top one.
Yeah, wow. It didn't really hold that support, did it? So yeah, I mean, obviously Red Squirrel knows that I'm going to talk smack about it because it was sitting on that support. I think it was actually looking good. That's right. So if I take it off log, yeah, there was like a point here where I think it had crossed over and we were looking around here and we were thinking, oh, this actually, is above the 20 MA. It's looking good. And then it promptly went below it and then it didn't hold the support. So yeah, pretty much from about June, mid-June onwards, it's just been going down. Yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, you want to see that start closing above the 20 MA minimum.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I mean you could check the MACD and stuff like that as well. But yeah, that's got 68 grand at least of liquidity. So yeah, there was a couple, I think last week that there was that I'll always get this wrong. The Grays currency, so PTGC or whatever.
Yeah,
I think that one someone always asks me to look at. And I think that was actually looking, oh no, it's still below the 20 as well. All right, well, some of these ones you're just going to have to keep an eye on, I guess. You can put it on a watch list or whatever.
Exactly, yep.
But, OMG on Pulse, I think we looked at that. More on Fux. Oh, okay. There's more. Oh, okay. So maybe the Tetra chart. Maybe I'm being unfair. Maybe I should be using that Gecko terminal or whatever to plot it. If there's more on the Fux.
Oh yes. Yep.
Yeah. Maybe I'll check that out. Maybe next time. Because what is it? It's like Gecko terminal. It's not worth doing.
Yeah, I can't remember what that one is, but yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
we'll do that another time.
I can have a look at it and for next time. Yeah. All right, all right. So, should we wrap it up? Have you got any closing remarks or anything?
Wrap it up. I was going to do something different and ask you a question.
Please do.
Here we go. So over the next week, do you reckon in terms of PulseChain, Do you reckon we'll either go lower, higher, or stay the same, or you can do lower, or you can do stay the same or lower, or stay the same or higher, just so we can sort of see what side of the fence you're on. I'm going to say stay the same or lower. That's where I'm at.
Yeah. So the problem is, right, and I think everyone knows by now, and we talked about bag bias and things like that. And it's like, what's the point of going on stream and like just fudding your own bags and things like that? But then there is a point where if a chart looks like shit, then I'm just going to say that it doesn't look great,
Yeah.
So at this point, somebody talks about, we're in the belief stage, because if you're just looking at the chart, like say Pulse or whatever, the second we closed below the 20 MA here, this was at 4044. It's like downtrend, and then so until I see it go back above it again, like that's literally what these circles are. That was when I was bullish, and then that was when I was bearish. So
for sure.
At this point, I just see it continuing to sort of go down in a downtrend. But at some point, there has to be a bottom. Right? So I know that I know it sounds silly. There's got to be, bears got to be exhausted at some point. Sellers have got to be exhausted. And it did respect that lower, that support there, the 4034.
Yeah.
So, I really don't want to see it close below it. I'm kind of hoping that would be, because you start making lower lows, it's just like, yeah. So I'm going to say sideways.
They're the same-ish.
Bit of a cop out, but
yeah. That's cool. No worries. We'll come back to it next week and see what happened, eh?
Yeah. Look, I hope to be pleasantly surprised. But it does seem to be the bit of the doldrums at the moment.
That's right.
And especially when you get like good news that's going on, and then the price is not like reflexive of it or reflecting it.
Yeah.
You just know that like we just got to wait longer. So that's all right. It's a sunny day out there. I'm going to go out and enjoy the rest of it. And
definitely. Yep.
I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their weekend. For
sure. Same here. And thanks for spending 2.5 hours doing it on here, Dozza, and everyone in the chat. Much appreciated. Cal was one of the last ones there. Cheers, gentlemen. Thank you very much. So thanks for everyone coming on today. We'll be back next week, and I'm going to leave it with the like intro video I made that I started earlier. So any
awesome.
Live viewers that missed it, you'll be able to see it now. But anyone watching the stream again, you'll have the pleasure of seeing it twice. So, and one other thing I'll leave it with is a video 43 shared, which was, if we are the same or lower next week, it'll be the Lambo that we're driving off. So have a good weekend, everyone. And I'll leave you with this.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, chat.
I love it.